Alright everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault. We're going to talk about Ubisoft again today. Not directly about Assassin's Creed Shadows, but about some of the fallout that probably has something to do with that game, as well as a bunch of other garbage going on with Ubisoft. So, let's cue up the music and we'll get right into it. First off, Ubisoft stock plummets 12% despite exceeding sales targets. Ouch, what could have caused that, I wonder? Ubisoft stock plummeted 12% in the past 5 days following the company's most recent earnings reports that revealed it had exceeded sales targets for its first financial quarter of the year. Yahoo Finance reports that the Ubisoft stock fell 12.42% in the last 5 days following Ubisoft's first quarter report on July 18th. In fact, the stock is down 14.73% for the year so far. If you go back an entire year, the stock is down 31.53%. If you go back 5 years, it's down 74.73%. Ooh, that's not good. I mean, right here we can see what's going on here. What's going on? I mean, could that whole get woke, go broke thing be coming true here? I don't know. But let's look in a little closer and see what's going on. So, the big dip seen in the chart above came in the wake of Ubisoft reporting that its net bookings hit 290 million. Well, let's go with the American numbers. 315.76 million. This exceeded the company's prediction of 299 million. So, it's a little bit better than what they had predicted. Ubisoft co-founder and Yves Guillemot touted the net bookings, saying, "In a selective market, we delivered a solid start to the year with net bookings above target, reaffirming that we are on the right track. The quarter notably saw the launch of XDefiant that is off to an encouraging start as we continue to grow the audience at a steady pace and plan a quarterly roadmap of content that will allow us to firmly establish the game over time." Now, XDefiant, from my understanding, is one of those shooter games. I think they charge for this one, or it might be free, I don't know. No, this one I think XDefiant was free. You know, one of those free games that's going to go out there to compete with all these other free-to-play games that make their money off of microtransactions. And there's nothing wrong with those games. It's not my type of game. And, you know, as we can see with Fortnite, it's a very viable option for video games. I don't like it. I don't like that type of game. I don't think it's healthy for the industry because it kind of retards growth in other areas, I think, you know. And here's my example of that. Let's say your kid likes Fortnite, right? You get your kid a game. Try Fortnite out, right? Oh, wow, this is great. You know, can I have some money so I can get some skins? Yeah, here's $20. You know, a month later, oh, there's new skins out there. Can I have $20? Yeah, here's $20. So you end up feeding this kid money all year round. And Roblox does this. There's a lot of games that do this with the microtransactions and all that. And to me, it's just something that kind of retards the growth of the games because all this time he could have been trying out different things, right? Those $20 could have gone for a really nice single-player experience. Now, if the kid doesn't like it, he doesn't like it. If he likes Fortnite and that kind of repetitive play all the time, and you know that always online thing, well, that's up to him. That's his bag, you know. But not mine. But I just think, you know, overall, it's not the best thing for gaming as a whole. It's great for the companies that own these games and that have the successful ones. But, you know, now we see everybody's trying to get in on that market. Everybody's trying to launch the next Fortnite or the next, you know, Call of Duty, the next game with a big roadmap that you know, will go on and make them billions and billions of dollars. And it's just not happening. You know, there's too much competition out there. There's not enough time in the day. There's not enough of a player base, and there's not enough money to go around. So, and with these firmly entrenched games that have been doing this for years now, all you're going to do is chip away a small portion of what they've got as an audience for a little while until you just find your game is unsustainable anymore. Then you're just going to shut down the servers, and those players are going to go back to their old game or go on to a new or different game or whatever. And that's it. You're not going to break into this market. I mean, you could, but your chances are way, way lower than they would have been at the beginning when this was the new thing, when the trend was created, when this was brand new. Now everybody's just copycatting, and unfortunately, that's what the industry does. Just like the movie industry, there's always those copycats out there when, a lot of artistry's dead. Anytime you get these big companies involved in stuff, the art is dead, and it's all just about making money. You can watch an independent film and feel the heart in it. You can feel the passion behind it and the love and the craft and all that. And it could be awesome, on a shoestring budget. And it's fantastic. Tens of thousands of dollars, maybe $100,000 spent on the film overall, from soup to nuts. And there you go. And you got an amazing film. And then you can watch a $300 million budgeted film that has $150 million more for marketing, and it's just this soulless piece of garbage. It's just a paint-by-numbers movie that does the same thing all these other movies have done 100 times over, only worse this time. And we've seen that plenty of times in recent years. I think Hollywood is in for a rude awakening. I think they've already gotten part of that rude awakening, and it's only going to get worse as time goes on if they don't change their ways and start investing in stories instead of spectacle and garbage like that. And we're going to see the same thing in gaming. Gaming is suffering right now. Studios are closing down left and right. There's layoffs all over the place. Look at this now. Snail Games, the guys that own Ark, that own, was it Wildcard that created Ark? They're in trouble with NASDAQ. They've been under $1 for over a month or something like that. And the value of their company, they're a garbage company. I hate Snail. Best thing that could happen to Ark would be for Snail to lose them, but that is a different story. But now we've got Ubisoft losing all kinds of money. So what are they going to have to do here? Their stock value dropping and all that. Even though they made money, their stock value's dropping. That's kind of interesting. So let's keep going on here. He continued, we also held Ubisoft Forward. That is always a key event for our teams and players, during which we showcase content that is very much aligned with our strategic focus on our two key verticals: open world adventures and games as a service native experiences. The gameplay we presented for our two highly anticipated upcoming premium titles, Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows, was not only praised by players and critics alike, but also highlighted the cutting-edge capabilities of our game engines. We also presented a strong pipeline of content that will continue feeding our live titles. Yeah, you know what else has a pipeline? The sewer. So let's talk about this. Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows, highly anticipated. Yeah, I'm sure there's a small group of people that are highly anticipating these games, but I think there's a larger group of people that are just waiting for these two games to fail for multiple reasons. First off, the wokeism in them. Star Wars, we have Ma'am Solo here. We've taken a beautiful actress and made her ugly and turned her into like a knockoff wish list female version of Han Solo. And we've got this grossly overpriced game that's like $140 at launch. Yeah, that has a season pass and all that, but it also had day one content that was going to be in the game, hard cooked into the game day one, locked behind the ultimate version of the game, or whatever they're calling it, the top of the line $140 version of the game. A mission in the game that exists at launch, locked behind that. That's wrong. I'm sorry. That's wrong. And Ubisoft's done so much bad shit lately. The whole shutting down old games that you can't even play them anymore, even if you bought them. Ubisoft is teaching you that when you buy an Ubisoft game, you are not buying that game. You are buying a license to play that game for as long as they continue to provide it for you to play, and then one day they're just going to tell you to F off and take the game down. I mean, imagine this, right? With that kind of power and the company doing this kind of thing, imagine them doing a game and saying, let's redo the original Assassin's Creed, right? Let's make it brand new, let's update it, give it all the bells and whistles, and make it an amazing game. And then locking access to the original game away from the players who bought it. Especially if you have a digital version of it. Now, if you've got a disc version, that's a different story. And that's a strong argument, of course, for buying media instead of, downloading it off the internet, buying physical media. And that's a whole other story for a whole other day. But, yeah, that's, you could easily do something like that, right? And that would force people to say, I want to play Assassin's Creed, the original. Now I got to pay, $70 for the new version of it, the remake of it. Or $140 if I want to experience the whole game, you know? I mean, oh, that is bad. And then how long before they shut that one down too? I don't know. It's kind of crazy right now. But yeah, Star Wars Outlaws catching a lot of grief. Assassin's Creed Shadows, if you watch this channel, I give this game hell on a weekly basis. Just, it's going to be such a cluster when it comes out. It's going to be absolutely garbage, hot garbage. You know, the whole fact that they went so woke on it and took the one black guy in Japan and during the time period of feudal Japan, was it 15 something or other he arrived there, and they made him the predominant character, the assassin in Assassin's Creed, the guy who's got to blend into the shadows and disappear after he commits a murder, who would stand out more than any other person they could have picked in Japan at the time. I mean, my God, how idiotic is it? You know, big black guy, right? And it's just such a woke thing to do. And Ubisoft has clearly stated that this is what they do. They are there for the diversity, they are there for the equity, or the equality, and they are there for the inclusion and all that garbage, you know. They're going to make him gay, him and the other character, Naue, or whatever her name is, the female ninja that didn't exist either, you know. Absolutely crazy. And Yusuke, of course, was a real character, but they try to portray him as a samurai, which he never was. Thomas Lockley was an author or a teacher, whatever, that wrote a book about him, and he, like, for some reason people believe this guy made up this story about him. Now it's like canon in the world, and it's like, that's not how history works. You don't just rewrite history. I think people are so used to, you know, movie franchises and stuff like that, just taking things in and out of canon or rewriting or retconning things, that's like, oh, we'll just do it with the real world too to make it so serve us. It's absolute insanity. But yeah, it's such a stupid thing. They've been stealing artwork in the game. They play hip-hop music when Yusuke's fighting, because we all know that, you know, feudal Japan, when there was a black fella there from Africa, he's definitely playing hip-hop music when he's fighting. It just feels like such pandering garbage. It makes me want to vomit. And the fact that people buy this really breaks my heart, because, I mean, I had little faith in humanity anyway. I think humanity is, you know, if you think about it, George Carlin said it best. He goes, I want you to think about, you know, he goes this way, you know. He goes, people are dumb, right? You got to think of the most average person you know, right? The most just boring average person. I think he said this one. Maybe it wasn't him. Because you got to think half the people in the world are stupider than him, you know? And that's an interesting thought. Half the people are smarter than him too, but, you know, it's just such a bad thought. You know, people just buy into this garbage and they don't think about it. They don't realize that by supporting these things, they support that it continues on, and it just, things get worse and worse. Movie industry has suffered, television has suffered. I mean, even The Boys, right? I enjoyed the first 3 seasons of The Boys. I kind of enjoyed a little bit of Generation V. I found it to be a little kind of lame. I wasn't really that happy with it. If midway through the season, I'm watching with my girlfriend, I go, you know what? I bet this is written by a bunch of women and directed by a bunch of women. She's like, no. And then she looked it up and she's like, oh my God, you're right. I go, yeah, I could just tell. Women, and I've said it in the past that women can't create art. And I was wrong. Somebody corrected me in the comments. So I'm going to reposition how I feel about this. Not how I feel about it, but he actually made me think about it a little bit and word it a little bit differently. Is women cannot create art that men will enjoy because women don't know what men enjoy, right? Think about it. When women make movies, you know, a female director, they usually make rom-coms. Now, there's been some exceptions out there. You know, the original Point Break, Catherine Bigelow. She also did, she's done some other movies. She used to be married to James Cameron. Fantastic movie, the original Point Break. What was the one with the bombs in The Hurt Locker? Another great movie. A little slow-paced and all that, but, oh, man, what a movie that was, you know? Fantastic. So every now and then, you'll get one out there that can do that, of course, but those are the outliers. It's not the average. And I think that's the problem with gaming now, is that it's full of all these, like, blue-haired liberal women, these little white women that are in their 30s and they're unmarried and live with cats and buy $8 coffees all day long, and, you know, they've all got their thick glasses, bad skin, and they think they know what they're creating for us, and they think they know what we like, and they're just putting out garbage that we hate. You know, we absolutely hate it. Nobody wants all this stuff. They want it, but they're not making the games for themselves. Or they are. They're making it for the modern audience, but the modern audience is them, and they're not buying it. There's not enough of them to support it. But anyway, Guillaume added, as we progress through fiscal year 25, all of our efforts are focused on successfully launching our promising new releases and positioning them as long-lasting value drivers for Ubisoft while continuing the transformation of our organization. He concluded, we are excited about the future and confident in the sustained progress of our turnaround throughout the year. Now, despite the net bookings exceeding Ubisoft's internal predictions, investors and analysts are expecting even better results from the company. Following the company's fourth quarter earnings reports earlier this year, Bloomberg's Daniel Zujic claimed the analysts were expecting an average estimate of $408.7 million for the quarter. That means the net bookings and sales were 22% lower than what analysts initially expected. The company noted that it expects net bookings around $544.5 million for the second quarter. It's probably safe to assume that analysts were expecting higher sales numbers given Star Wars Outlaw releases in August during the company's second quarter. Now, Outlaws is going to sell because of name recognition alone. People like Star Wars, right? People used to love Star Wars. You know, if you like Star Wars, you love Star Wars. Star Wars used to be this unified fan base that loved Star Wars. You can get any two Star Wars nerds to sit down and talk about the lore, talk about the characters, talk about the movies. You know, there'd be some good-natured arguments. Oh, I think the prequels were better than the originals, or, you know, here's my reason why the Return of the Jedi was better than the Empire Strikes Back. You know, good-natured discussions and all that, but not the hate today, man. I mean, my God. And, you know, and this is because Disney, when they bought Star Wars, they started to, they wanted to deconstruct everything. They wanted to, they just wanted to deconstruct things and subvert your expectations. And they tried to, like, outsmart themselves. And all they did was destroy a beloved franchise and take the audience and divide them up horribly, you know. And they talk about, oh, these are just man babies, and you know, they want their old Star Wars back, but it's ours now, ha ha ha, now it's gay, now it's this, now it's that. And, you know, I fall on the side of the quote-unquote man babies instead of the woke libtards. But, you know, as a man baby, it's not that you destroyed my childhood. You'll always have the originals, you know. I don't have to watch your new crap. And I gave up on it. You know, I gave up on it, absolutely. I gave up on that, and I gave up on Marvel. I'm giving up on Ubisoft right now. You know, and unless these companies make significant changes, and I mean significant changes, I won't go back to Star Wars or Marvel unless Disney sells those IPs to somebody else and somebody takes them over and that cares about them. I won't buy from Ubisoft until the right people are fired from Ubisoft and they come out with a disclaimer that says, hey, we're sorry, we were screwing up, we were doing the wrong things, or maybe they're forced to sell off the Assassin's Creed IP. My God, wouldn't that be something? And someone else can buy it and start, you know, redoing the games or doing new games or whatever and bringing it back to what it's supposed to be instead of all this woke garbage. Anyway, I digress. Another factor that might have resulted in such a significant decline in the stock price following the earnings report is that Ubisoft delayed the release of Rainbow Six Mobile and The Division Resurgence. The company explained Rainbow Six Mobile and The Division Resurgence are no longer expected in fiscal year 25 as the teams are taking the necessary time to ensure that these experiences deliver on expectations with optimized KPIs in the context of a demanding yet very large market. So what do you think of this? I mean, what do you think the reasoning is for the stock plummeting? That's absolutely crazy that right after the earnings report, it dropped, and it dropped significantly. That is not good. That is not good at all. Anyway, I'm hoping that we see more of this. You know, companies need to be held accountable for what they're doing. If you've got companies that are out there and all they're doing is pushing this woke DEI garbage and they're getting that BlackRock money for it, you know, great. That's going to sustain them for a little while, but it's not going to sustain them forever, you know. And eventually, the funds are going to dry up to some degree to where it's like, well, this is not an investment that's worth keeping, right? How many people's Ubisoft laid off in the last couple of years, and how many more are going to be laid off in the upcoming year? You know, in fiscal year 25, I'm curious to see how many people get laid off, because I you know, we all know Skull and Bones took a crap when it came out, and that was expected. You know, let's be fair on that one. That game languished in development hell for years, and I had high hopes for it, but I tell you what, the second time they canceled it on me after a release was announced, and refunded my money, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I am not getting that game because it has some serious problems. Because every time they would do that, it's not like they did it because, oh, we're going to add this in and we're going to add that. It was just, nope, just another delay, you know. It wasn't things to make the game better. I think it was just to help it maybe not fail on release. I don't know. Anyway, leave a like on the video down below. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. As always, I'm Cat to Beefy with the Game Vault. Hope you have a great day. I will see you next time. Until then, peace.